Good evening and welcome to Eli's Uber. This one is just a short one today. It's an absolutely scorching day and I'm just driving home. Thought I'd do a quick video as to sort of the reasons why I chose Uber, and also the sort of preparations that I had to take that leap, if you will. Now before I start, I just want to thank my sponsor, Andy Mac, aka the Mac Maniac. He is responsible for all the artwork. He's doing some fantastic things with his artwork. He's got quite a lot of portraits and things of different wrestlers and other people that he's a fan of. I would absolutely love for you to check him out. His Instagram tag is _Mac _Maniac. So that's _Mac_Maniac. I'll post a link somewhere as well. But yeah, I would definitely check him out. He's doing some fantastic things and I'm very grateful for him to put his faith in this podcast, so I'm not going to let him down. So yeah, moving on to Uber, and just sort of preparation in general, I guess. So why work for Uber? I was working in a sales job for 7 years. It was a bit of a high pressure environment, things like that. I'll be honest, I loved the job originally. It was a good few years, met a lot of great people as well. Unfortunately, personal circumstances started to change a little bit more. My family needed me a little bit more, as well as the wrestling side of things was really starting to pick up in terms of I was getting on shows, but I was also there to help out at other shows that I wasn't perhaps on. So the flexibility side of things for me was a big deal. Now it was a big risk, I'll not lie. I was sort of nervous about taking the jump from a secure job with a basic salary plus commission. It was a well-paid job, and I was stepping into something I'd never done before. I was stepping into self-employment, whereby just put that window up, whereby I'm my own boss now. It's time for me to make my own money. If I don't work, I don't earn. There was a few people that sort of put their doubts in me a little bit as well. I know that my dad was a little bit skeptical of it, but at the same time, he understood my reasons why I was doing it, so he told me to give it a chance. But here's the thing, it's something where if you're not going to take a chance, then you'll never know. And it got to that point in my life where I had to make a change. I was getting mentally drained a little bit with the stresses of the job, plus trying to deal with the personal side of my life as well. And all in all, I was becoming quite an unhappy person, and I decided that I would rather take the chance and crash and burn than not take it at all, and stick where I am and try and balance things when it wasn't really working out the way I wanted it, So it took me a few months to prepare. I had to make sure that financially I could step up a little bit, so I started to clear some finances, because my overheads were pretty high at the time. They still are, but I've got them down a little bit. But my overheads were pretty high, so I had to look at, can I afford to do this here? And I spent a bit of time researching with other Uber drivers as well. Some were more helpful than others, but I spent a bit of time. Every time I used Uber, I would take one. I would ask them, how do they find the job? Is it viable? Do they support it? And to be honest, they all told me the same thing. If I put the hours in, I will reap the rewards. And I thought, okay. Now bearing in mind I was taking this jump for a sort of flexibility side of things, so I was nervous about that, but at the same time I was prepared to at least try it because I was working hours elsewhere anyway, so let's just give it a try. So yeah, sometimes it takes some 12-hour days, things like that, but I'm loving it, that's the thing. And as Jim Carrey said, actually, it's better to pursue something that you want to pursue and fail than to have never tried at all. And I thought, well, he's right. Now that work for me wasn't necessarily Uber, but the wrestling side of things needed my commitment. So by choosing Uber, I was able to commit that little bit more to wrestling. And you know, again, sometimes in both parts of the job it's hard to be self-motivated. It's hard to sometimes motivate myself to train. It's hard to sometimes motivate myself to get in the car, especially on days like today when it's currently 32 degrees. I am absolutely sweltering, and I would much rather be sitting in my garden with a beer, just enjoying life. But you know what, it's the things that we take, you know. So where was I? I've lost my train of thought now. So yeah, I was chatting to one of my friends there who I worked with in a previous job as well, and he was saying how he's starting to get a bit tired of his career and he's trying to change things up. And he asked me about Uber. I was honest with him. You know, you need to get used to budgeting a little bit differently and things like that, which can be tough, but you know what, you get to grips with it eventually. But he was also talking about maybe perhaps moving to a different country and trying to work there, and he's like, but you know, what if it doesn't work out for me? What if this happens? And I said to him, well look, you can only try it. At the end of the day, if you don't try and pursue something that you've been thinking about, then you're never going to know. And I know that's a cliche, but you are better to be safe than sorry. Give it a bash. Just see what you think of it, and you know, if it doesn't work out, then hey, you can come back with your tail between your legs all you want. But personally, I would come back with my head held high and say, yeah, I tried it, it failed, let's try something else. Nothing wrong with that. There's also one of the sort of self-motivation side of things, and as I say, I was struggling with that at some points. As some people may know, I deal with depression and anxiety, and some days, man, that can be hard. Getting out of bed can be tough. But that's when I found it at its darkest, was when I found I stopped trying. And when I stopped trying, things stopped happening for me. So, you know, my bookings have started to dry up, and I wasn't making as much money with the job, and I was like, man, I'm struggling here. I'm really struggling. So I thought, you know what, it's time to start making things happen for me. And I was listening to the Joe Hendry podcast, who you should totally check out, by the way. Joe Hendry is not only an amateur wrestler but a professional wrestler as well. He's won himself some medals, he's won himself some titles in pro wrestling. Just a fantastic athlete, and in general he's wise beyond his years, in my opinion. He knows what he's talking about, probably a little bit better than me, but he goes on about how it's always darkest before the dawn, and I can agree with that, you know. And I've started to try and make things happen. You know, I found myself here with about 8 weeks of no wrestling. I was like, man, I'm struggling to get some bookings here. So rather than being down about it and beat myself up about it, I had to sort of change my mentality a little bit, and I went, you know what, no, this is what we're going to do. If we've got 8 weeks at least until we're next match, then we're going to use the 8 weeks. We're going to step up our game a little bit. We're going to hit the gym again every day. We're going to get a little bit stronger, a little bit leaner perhaps as well. We're going to get our cardio up, so that when those 8 weeks come, people can see that I've still been trying, I've still been putting the work in, although they may not have seen me in front of an audience. So yeah, I mean, that's the big thing. And lo and behold, the second that I start trying to make things happen for me, an opportunity is knocked on my door. At first it wasn't looking like I was going to be able to do it. Here we go again, you know, another setback. But it looks like there's been a compromise made, and this opportunity is going to happen for me now. And it's important that I am not getting ready, but that I stay ready for it when it comes. I'll be able to tell you more about that in the next maybe week or so keep your eyes peeled for that. But yeah, it's about making things happen for you. So if you're feeling low, or you've got goals and you're maybe a bit scared to look at them, you know, sit down and think about your goals here and go, right, okay, so I'm not happy here. This is how I could be happy. So you've got your starting point and then your happy point. Think about how you're going to get there. And the way that I've looked at certain things as well is, say for talking's sake, I would go to one distance, I'll put down a boulder or a stone or something. It's going to sound silly, I know, but sit down a boulder or a bottle, for example. Take a few steps back and look at it in the distance. I say that is my goal. So my goal was, well, I'll tell you, my goal is to wrestle in ICW before the end of the year. Alright, so that's my goal currently, is to wrestle in Insane Championship Wrestling before the end of the year. So I've got till December, that's 5 months or so. So then I need to look at it and go, right, now imagine I've just achieved that goal. So I walk over, I pick the bottle up, and this bottle is my goal. I've achieved it, it's the best match ever. People's cheering. Not necessarily for me, because I might be the bad guy, but they're cheering, they're applauding the match, they respect the match. How did I get there? What did it take to get there? Okay, so was that perhaps maybe putting in a few extra hours training? Was it, I don't know, doing a few extra errands for the company, letting them know that you're reliable? Is it wrestling a few other promotions so that ICW take notice that you are starting to do well again? Or how did I get there? Alright, now I set this out, I've used this method before, and at the time what I wanted to do was I wanted to create a showreel for my acting side of things. I sat the bottle in the distance, I looked at it, thought about it, and I walked over and I picked up the bottle. I said, this bottle here is the best showreel I've ever made. How did I get there? And at the time I said to myself, well, I mean, if I want to create a showreel, I'm going to have to start trying to get on as many short films as I can, as many TV pieces as I can. I'm going to need to call in some favours from friends. I'm going to need to, what? But it wasn't as difficult as it seemed. But yeah, I had to start putting myself forward for everything, man. I had to, there was a lot of students at the time who were creating their final piece, and I thought, I could be of use to you here, I could help you here. And luckily they trusted me enough, and they got on well with me. And by the end of it, I had, I think I had 4 or 5 different short films that I was in. And I also directed a short film by that year. That was a nice bonus. I'd always wanted to try directing, and one of the girls asked me to direct her mockumentary, which was fantastic. And as much as it was her writing and stuff like that, I'm still incredibly proud to be part of that. So by looking at my goal and looking at what it was going to take, it sort of became clear what I had to do, and I went out there and made it happen, and I had enough material for a showreel. So it's things like that you need to think about with changing, and that was the same with going to Uber in a sort of roundabout way. Was I had to look at, can I afford to do this? Can I afford to step away? So if I was to look at Uber at the time, going from my sales job, I had to step back and say, right, this is me creating a successful career in Uber. Go over, pick up the bottle or the object, whatever it may be, pick it up, and imagine that is you now, very successful, making your £700 to £1,000 a week, whatever you might make on Uber. What's it going to take? And I thought, right, okay. So I started to look at my finances and go, right, okay, so I can pay this one off the quickest, I can clear this, I can clear that, and I started to get there with it. And then the steps came where it's like, right, I'm going to need to get my badge. So I did that. The badge was going to take 3 months, they told me, so that gave me another 3 months to start getting the wheels in motion, start planning. Where was I going to go from here? What was I going to do? So I started to put a little bit of money away just to sort of get a bit of security. But I was also selling cars, I was selling cars. I was trying my best. you know, so I had to sell a lot of cars in those 3 months just to make sure that when the time came, bang, I was good to go. And that offered me a sort of month to 2 months support in wages, whereby I could find my feet a little bit, I could get my car up and running, and sort of find out, you know, what's my expenses going to be on fuel, on washing the car, things like that as well. So I achieved it. What I didn't account for, you know, which was just a hurdle, was, you know, going from a monthly wage to a weekly wage. That was hard going. The thing with the weekly wage was, it was great. I was making all this money. It was coming in every week, fantastic. I could finally go and buy things that I really wanted to buy. When in actual fact I couldn't, because, you know, in a couple of weeks the wages were coming up, and the bills were coming out. Excuse me. Yeah, so in a couple of weeks the bills were coming out, and I hadn't quite accounted for that. I didn't put the money away for that. And in the first month I found myself like, okay, I shouldn't maybe have been putting money away here. I got, you know, I was covered, I was fine, but it was tricky. It was a sort of realisation of, okay, I hadn't quite considered that part of the planning process. Now I'm starting to get better with it. I'm starting to, you know, step up my game with putting money away each week and putting the hours in and things like that. But again, you know, I could have gave up there and then. I could have went, oh no, I'm not going to be able to afford this, blah blah blah. But no, I looked at it from a systematic point of view. I said, right, okay, this is what I'm doing wrong. Here's how I fix it. Let's try that. If that doesn't work, back to the drawing board, because I want to do this. I want to work for Uber. I want to be flexible in my own hours. I want to be my own boss so that I can go and wrestle and enjoy my life outside of work. So far so good. I'm putting the money away. It's starting to work for me. Not quite there yet, I'll admit. I'm not 100% there yet, but I'm getting there. I'm seeing that it's working. It's a bit like going to the gym and you start to see the weight falling off, or you start to see the inches in your waist coming off, things like that. And it's just the same with making a career change. It's not always going to hit the ground running, but you can get there. Just put in the time, put in the effort. And going back to the sort of darkest before the dawn thing, I think is absolutely right, and I think I'm just about to start to see that light at the end of the tunnel now, you know. So yeah, I mean, I get it, this has probably been a bit of a ramble for 17 minutes or so far, but at the same time, thank you, at the same time, it takes this sort of rambling about, and I do apologise. I know sometimes I might repeat myself or things like that. I'm driving at the same time. This is going to be probably one of the first hurdles in the podcast side of things, is am I going to be able to balance this and keep my concentration. And if I do lose it, I apologise in the first few, but you know, my points are there. That's the main thing, my points are there. So I mean, think about your goals. I mean, for this guy who said that he's thinking about either coming to Uber or maybe moving abroad, he's going to have to look at similar things to what I had to look at. He's going to have to look at, right, okay, can I afford to clear my overheads or lower my outgoings before I can make this career change? Because you want it to benefit you as well. You know, there's no point in making more money or making the same amount of money and you still got all these high outgoings. You want to be able to look at it and change it up a little bit. So yeah, you know, what we're going to do to change that. Is there any bills that I can pay off? Is there, you know, do I really need that Netflix subscription or that Spotify premium? Yes, I need Spotify, but do I need that? Do I need the WWE Network, for example? Things like that. Is this stuff that I can take away from my outgoings so that I can start to live a little bit better, so I can start to, you know, plan my flights to go away, to try and fly over to look at, you know, to get job interviews and stuff like that. So, you know, these are all things that you can do to change. Then he has to look at, if he's wanting to go abroad, he's going to have to look at the legal side of things. He's going to have to look at, do I need a visa? Do I need this? Do I need that? What sort of what sort of aspects can I bring to the country, because that's one of the things they're going to look for, especially if he's looking for a job. He's going to have to stick within his comfort zone. He's going to have to stick within what he knows, because it's not going to be as easy to go abroad and just jump into a job over there that you've maybe never had experience in. They'd be looking to bring someone in with relevant experience, so he's going to have to look at that as well. Where is he qualified? What's his strengths? What's his weaknesses? Can he fix his weaknesses before he gets over there? There's lots of things, you know. If he just wanted to leave his job and do what I did and come and work for Uber, then he'd have to follow a very similar path to what I did. And he's got the benefits of speaking to someone like myself who has had the pitfalls of it, so I can tell him roughly what to expect and things like that. And you know, as much as I spoke to other drivers and things like that before I bit the bullet, they never really told me about the budgeting side of things. They just told me how great the money was. You know, they're out there working 40-50 hours a week and they're making £1,000 a week, but they never really sat down and said, yeah, but you've got your fuel to come off of that, you've got your bills to put away for, you've got to put money away for your tax, all of that, you know. So that's something that I perhaps missed out on, because a lot of drivers weren't very forthcoming with that. And you know, I'm not saying that's their fault, it's just maybe I wasn't asking the right questions. I don't know. So I mean, it's something for you to think about. What is your goals? What are you thinking about? You know, is there something that you've been wanting to try for a wee while, you've not quite thought about it? Grab the bottle, set it down, stand back, look at it, think about it, and walk over, pick that bottle up. You've achieved your goal. It's this goal is your goal right here. It is an absolute success. What does it take to make it? Think about that. And you know, think realistically about it. And if you think about something, go, oh no, that's not possible. Is it possible though? Because if it's not possible, you know, make it your goal to make it possible, and do the same again. Step back and look at the bottle. Think about it, go back. That's finally a success. How did I make that a success? What did it take? Now that that's a success, I can go to the next bottle and I can make this a success. It sounds cheesy, it sounds dumb. I'm a cheesy guy. I wouldn't say I'm a dumb guy, but I like a bit of cheese. But think about it, you know. So yeah, I mean, that's just a quick 20 minute video or so, just to sort of discuss it. Also made me very aware that a 15-minute journey has taken me 22 minutes so far, and I'm not even close to home. But that's rush hour for you. So, but yeah, enjoy the rest of the weather, guys, and I'll be back in touch next week. Next week I'm quite excited. I have got my first podcast guest. If you've got me on Instagram, you will know that it is Ravy Davey. I mean, Ravy Davey, go back, go quite far back actually together. And I know that he's got a story to tell. I'm making a point of, I don't want these podcasts to be all about wrestling. The reason is, there's so many wrestling podcasts out there, and there's so many people who are better at that side of things out there than me. So I would rather look at different people from all different walks of life. Being from a wrestling background, yes, I've got a lot of wrestling friends, and you probably will see a few of them on here. So I wouldn't deny that, but I want to look at more than just the wrestling side of things. So Ravy Davey's got a fantastic story, which I'm sure you will love when you get to hear it. We'll be talking about, you know, growing up in Govan and the challenges he faced going from a relative nobody to one of the fast rising stars in Scottish wrestling. And I can confidently say that because I've seen, you know, the success that he's had, but I've also seen the sort of negative sides that he may have had. So I'm looking forward to asking him personally about it. So yeah, that'll be happening next week. It'll be out before the end of next week. I plan on putting it on both YouTube and Spotify. Spotify is currently in the works, so bear with me on that. And as soon as everything's up and running, you will be the first to know. Keep an eye on my Instagram. Any questions, comments, things like that, or feedback, drop me a message, because I really want this to work. And again, this is another challenge for me, is this podcast. So I've set out my goals as to how I want to make it work. I might have some hurdles on the way. Who knows, this first video here might be a hurdle. It might not be as successful as I want it to be. Maybe people didn't quite understand my points directly. I don't know. Let me know in the comments. Drop me a message, whatever it might be. I need your help to make this work, because I want to make it work and I want to make it enjoyable for yourselves as well. Have a good day, and I'll catch you next time.